Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Radio Club Podcast. So, today we are honored to host Mr. K. Ganesh, a serial entrepreneur, co founder of Growth Story, and the force behind ventures like BigBasket, HomeLane, Bluestone, and the author of the recently published book, Mastering Disruption. He's also a professor at ISB, teaching us about the business value of new age technologies and learning how to launch startups. Professor, many of us know you as a successful entrepreneur an investor, but you often call yourself as an accidental entrepreneur. So, how did that journey unfold right from your childhood?
Thanks, Sagam. Happy to be here. Always a pleasure to be at ISB. Accidental entrepreneur really came because I never thought of my journey or career like a typical 5-year plan or a McKinsey Gantt chart, or uh, for that matter, like a planned ladder. Okay, right? It's more like Bangalore traffic or Google Maps in Bangalore traffic. Okay, right? So you try to jump over potholes, you avoid a cow here, you avoid a oncoming two-wheeler traffic on the wrong side, and then somehow you get to the destination. Many times it's faster than a straight road, but you still do it. So that's the way it really happened. I mean, after my IM Calcutta, I joined Hindustan Computers Limited. Working there, when I found certain things that I thought I could solve in a different way, not in a corporate setting, but this. That's how back in 1990 started my first venture startup before startups were fashionable. And if it not were the fact what I observed at HCL and the kind of freedom that HCL gave, I would never would have been an entrepreneur. My other job offers at IM was with Unilever. It was called Hindustan Lever at that time, and Citibank. If I joined there, I may be in corporate, continued to be in corporate. But this gave me an opportunity to be in an entrepreneurial setup. HCL was at the time very small, and this. So, and that has been the defining way. Like Bangalore traffic, all my ventures have evolved.
That's very insightful. So, how did your early childhood look like, and how do you think that shaped in becoming an entrepreneur?
So my early childhood had actually two parts. I don't think it really shaped me entrepreneur. I lost my father when I was 9 years old, and I had a single mom who brought me and my two younger sisters up. So and I studied at a government school. So there was a lot of learnings in terms of how to uh, overcome adversity from my mom, who brought three children up as a single mom. So that really helped me in understanding the power of hard work and really work hard. So that was good. Two, I was always enamored by how the central government at that time, where my mother was working, went out of the way to support when this tragedy happened. So I'm very grateful to the Indian government. That's also one of the reasons why I never went abroad. I said, I want to be in India and do that stuff. But that was one. Two, in the later, my first job, I was executive assistant to Shiv Nadar. Again, working closely with somebody like Shiv Nadar taught me a lot of entrepreneurial traits, which I observed at very close quarters. So that is a very defining moment for me.
That's very insightful. So, how did growth story came up, and how did you reach writing the book Mastering Disruption?
Yeah, so I have done 4 greenfield ventures, which I started over my entrepreneurial journey. And each one was greenfield, started from scratch, found a problem, and then scaled it and then sold it. So after doing 4 such serial ventures, stage came when I was 50 years old. I said it's getting very monotonous and boring. Now, fifth venture, sixth venture becomes too much. But I wanted to be in the startup ecosystem, and at 50, I thought it was too young to hang up the boots and play golf in Hawaii and retire. So that's when we came up with the idea of a venture builder model. That's a unique model in itself, wherein it's not an accelerator, incubator, investor, or an angel. We look at where the next 5 to 10 years opportunities are,
Mhm.
and then do some basic research, not the kind they teach you at ISB, but back of the envelope kind of calculation. And if we like it, we get a core founding team together, put the first money, and start scaling it. If it works out, we go and raise institutional capital. If it doesn't work out, we put more money. If it doesn't work out, we write off the money, cry a bit, and then shut down the venture. Okay, right? That's a typical growth builder, venture builder model. That's what Growth Story does. BigBasket was the first one. Bluestone was the second one. Third one was Portea Medical. Fourth one was HomeLane. Like this, we have a few ventures under the venture builder growth story model. It's an interesting model with work with stellar entrepreneurs. For each one of the companies, the entrepreneur team is different, and we are fortunate also to work with marquee VCs across all these firms, and many of them they repeat in multiple firms.
Absolutely. I think this is a kind of a new ecosystem that we as a generation is getting to utilize from the expertise that the older generation has provided all over.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of my age. So therefore, when you are bald and old, you accept with a lot of humility. No, but jokes apart, I think this is one of the best times to be passing out. I wish I was on your side and you are on my side, bald and old and gray, and I was younger. The reason being, I don't think stars have ever been aligned like this for a generation to come out. Okay, right? One, like you mentioned, the ecosystem, the support ecosystem is fantastic, whether it's angel investors, mentors, advisors, or the government support to Startup India program. All of that is great. And to look at it from the corporate side, I mean, the kind of disruption that's happening because of generative AI, because of data, because of quantum computing is phenomenal. That any young person passing out has got virtually the world on a platter to be able to pick and choose what they want to do. Whereas when we passed out, it was a very constrained economy, license Raj. We were trying to struggle to fit into the mold. Today, the students coming out don't have to fit into the mold. They can actually create the mold and craft the mold.
Absolutely. I hope that few students from our cohort can take this inspiration and build something after ISB and get this so uh, since we talked about disruption and you've wrote the book Mastering Disruption, so when you say, you've also talked about in the book that disruptions rarely happens overnight and it begins with subtle shifts that we can observe. So for MBA students or young professionals entering new roles, what kind of signals that they should be training themselves to look out for so they can take advantage of this disruption?
Yeah, so this is very important question that you're raising, right? Disruption never happens suddenly. Okay, right? You always see leading indicators. You see some signals. Think of it like a glass gets broken, but before the glass breaks, there are small smudges. There are small cracks. Okay, right? If you are sharp, if you are observing the leading indicators, if you are keep your mind and antenna open, then you will be able to observe these subtle shifts earlier than before. And as MBAs getting into corporate world, you're extremely smart. What's important is you keep watching for early signals, and based on those early signals, take corrective action. Corrective action doesn't mean you change the company's strategy. Corrective action means you see where what these signals mean, do small experiments. Okay, right? Try out some small pilots and see, is the signal real? Is the glass really going to crack? Or it's just a small piece of dust you can just wipe and you can move on. That's very important. If you don't do it, then because of very strong technological shift, very strong economic shift, or consumer behavior shift, it will become too late. We've all heard the standard story of Kodak and BlackBerry and Nokia and all of that stuff. And we have also seen now recently how in quick commerce, because of the sudden shift, okay, right? Brands, incumbents, traditional companies, kirana stores, or even distributors are getting disrupted. Now, this didn't happen overnight. To be honest, even BigBasket, which was one of my companies and now it's two-thirds owned by Tata's, also was slightly late in observing that particular shift. It's always a challenge with the incumbents. So, as young MBAs, when you go, whatever role you go, your first job is to see, can you look at the glass? Can you spot the early trends? And then come up and propose to your management, propose to your company, wherever you are. What are the pilots you can run? How do you test the hypothesis? What is it that in the next 30, 60, 90 days you will do to be able to either say this is a fad, disruption is not going to work, we don't have to worry, or this is something we need to start working on now.
Early on. So, Professor, I do understand about startups, but when you're working for big organizations, like they're generally resistant to change because it's whenever big tech is coming, or even if as an employee I'm observing disruptions, it sometimes gets difficult to influence them directly, senior leaders, because they are focused on the client deliverables that they have on place. So, what can probably be your suggestions when we, as young professionals, go into that journey and we have to influence them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what you said about existing large companies, corporates, and incumbents, that's very true. And in management jargon, Clayton Christensen has talked about it, where these companies are focused on sustaining innovations. I
Exactly.
mean, that's the word that he uses. And really, what it means is that these companies are busy handling their large clients or their current profit pools. And they are busy with them, and those clients will be demanding, they'll be busy addressing them. So, when you, as a young MBA, go and say, I'm going to do this, it doesn't get the
Exactly.
attention because that is not their core priority. Their core priority is this quarter's results. So, some of the things that you can do is simple. One is, can you frame not from your point of view as a disruption or as a great idea, but by showing how does it affect their dashboard? What is it that they are looking at? They are focused on. So talk in terms of the outcome, which what will mean to them. Okay, right? Don't talk in terms of LLMs or technology or what you are going to be doing or platforms. Okay, right? For instance, if it's growth, talk about 30% growth. Now, if it's about profit margin, 2% improvement in profit margin or gross margin, right? Talk in those terms which they understand. It is their dashboard that they look at every day, their dashboard, they are golden. So talk in terms of their dashboard. Okay, right? So, and we have done this in some of our companies which do B2B and talk about disruption to large corporates. So we have one in the generative AI space where we do. What do? We ask for a meeting with the board or the top management. We don't talk AI, we don't talk LLM, we talk about, for example, there's a gold loan company. We said, what about if we cut the cost of calling all your incoming leads by 90%? Will that make a difference to you? Then we had found out what is the cost per call. We said it's a 90% saving in cost. Two, we said there is published data that shows that leads, if you call within the first 2 hours, the conversion rate is 70%. Okay. How do you call within the first 2 hours? Okay, right? Typically, people are managed to call only 10% of the leads in the first 2 hours. We said, we said we have a method by which 90% of the calls can be called in the first 2 hours without increasing your call center agents. Now, that is something that they listen. Okay, right? So reframe it not as disruption, not as technology, but as this. Other thing that I have found works well in B2B is choose the 2 or 3 of the top competitors and talk about how they have used it. Right? That also moves the needle
Most of
very,
the
very fast.
Absolutely. So I think that covers when I was also pitching some of ideas in my company, how I understood eventually that how you have to make it a business necessity, and that's the language probably senior leaders understand. But I think that's well put, because as young professionals we don't acknowledge this often, because we're very focused on the domain knowledge, because we want to showcase that we have done this research, we have done that research. But it's absolutely necessary to understand what is business necessity, and that's how companies grow eventually. So that absolutely makes sense. So you've built and exited multiple companies, but also seen challenges and pivots along the way. So, can you share a failure story that would resonate with young professionals? And what mindset should we carry on when we face that big product launch failure or the project failure that does not go as we planned?
No, that's a great question. So obviously, I've had multiple failures, too many to talk about in a podcast. It will take days for me to document it. Um, Obviously, it's very disappointing, especially if it happens very early in your career, in your first job, or in your first job, or first assignment, or first project, or in a first startup. It happens. It's pretty tough and can be demoralizing. Okay, right? Whether you're a professional or a startup. I think what helps you is frame it as an experiment. Okay, right? Don't think of it as a long journey or a trip. Think of it as a short trip. Okay, right? If the trip doesn't go well, it doesn't mean your life is ruined. It's a trip. One. Two, also today enough tools are available, enough support ecosystem is available to take measured bets. So have a midpoint check. For example, I see it as a 8-week project. After 4 week, I'm going to have a check and publish that upfront. So when you go to your management, when you propose it, you say that this is what you're trying to do. This is the project. This is the hypothesis. And these are weekly check-ins that you will have or weekly reports that you will publish. And after 4 weeks, there is going to be a kill switch that if it works, it works. And these are the metrics that you want to see in 4 weeks to go, no go. So that not only you, your manager, your organization understands you're following a scientific process. Okay, right? Two, there is definitely a chance that it will fail because if you're doing something which is risky, which is important, which has not been done before, there is a good chance that fails. And organization understand it. But you need to frame it correctly. You need to have a kill switch. You need to be able to define the metrics and dashboards on the basis of which this will get evaluated at, say, a halfway milestone. And this worst case, if it doesn't work out, most importantly, document what are the learnings. Why did you think it failed? And what are the learnings from it? In startup jargons, we call it we pivot also. We do something, it doesn't work out, we change. And I had many such instances and also many regrets. For example, my first business was in computer hardware maintenance. This was back in 1990. No, we grew pretty well. We grew well because the industry was growing and we did not screw it up. Okay, right? That's a basic. This was in the right industry and all that. Okay, and it was a decent outcome. We sold the business to iGate. But my biggest regret really is in 1990 in hardware, we had in the right sector, we had identified, we were there and doing well. If I had spent even 10% of my time on software, okay, in 1990, we were there. We knew hardware and software equally well. We would have had an outcome, even if it was 1/100th of an Infosys or a Wipro, would have been a great outcome. Now, that has been the learning from me from my first startup. That don't look inward. We were very busy scaling our business, handling cash flow problems, handling challenges, we were the largest or second largest third party computer hardware maintenance vendor. All of this is great. But even if I was the CEO and co-founder, if I had kept my eyes slightly outside of the environment, not only be inside, we would have had an outcome which is at least 100x of the outcome that we had. Okay, right? So be aware of the environment, be aware of the opportunities while you're busy executing your today's challenges. I think that's important. So failure will always be there if you attempt something which is worth attempting.
Absolutely. And failure also teaches you a lot and builds a lot of patience. But
Yeah. If
we,
you can institutionalize the knowledge out of the failure, publish a note, share it with people. Okay, right? That's a great learning. It's not really a failure. It's like Thomas Alva Edison famously said, I have not failed 99 times. I know 99 ways it will not
not
work.
not
Okay,
work.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Knowing what will not work is also very, very important when you are in the ecosystem, whether you're working for a company or building your own company.
Yeah. And today you get to do so much of A B testing or so much of testing of options that it's possible for you to test multiple.
Multiple.
Why do you have to guess? Just put it out there, let it fail. And from there you learn and launch a better product.
Absolutely. So, Professor, let's deep dive a little bit into your book. In the book, we have talked about disruptions in general. So, what should be the key lessons that we should be, you can summarize for us quickly from the book that, engages students to read this book further?
Yeah. So one, I think the because of platform businesses, because of internet, because of data, smartphone, one, the consumer behavior is changing dramatically. The way Gen Z behaves today, millennials behave today is very different than what Gen X behavior is. So a change in consumer behavior gives rise to new business models and opportunities. that are available to you. That's one. Two, because of generative AI, okay, right? Because of agentic AI, the workflows are getting redefined. Organizational structure is changing. What skills are required from MBAs or professionals are changing. Therefore, you need to adapt yourself to be able to take advantage of this. There's a tremendous advantage with these tools coming up with the uh, support ecosystem, whether it is DPI, whether it's ONDC, all of that coming up. The world has changed. So the way you play the game now, the way you chart your career now, what you do now is very different than what we did when we passed out. Okay, right? So one, understand the new models. Two, understand what is driving them and what are the metrics that organizations are optimizing for.
Optimizing for.
Okay, right? Those again are very different. So you have to play and the game as per the new rules, new metrics. It's like saying now it's the days of T20. You have to play cricket differently. Okay, right? So I think the biggest message is uh, that that understand, appreciate, play your game as per the new rules of the game. New opportunities. Opportunities are phenomenal in this space.
Absolutely. So, with the new model, business models coming up, it's important for us to recognize how the business landscape is changing. And I think this book will, I think, teach us that very well. If we can apply these learnings into our practical
Yeah,
life
it's a
also.
primer 101 at one place for people to know this. Whatever sector you're going to be, some of these principles are universal, like the platform principles. How does existing companies incorporate, okay, right, the benefits and the advantages of platform principles in their traditional design to not only to survive, but to take advantage of the opportunity and thrive, whether it's a subscription
Absolutely.
model, whether it's a freemium model, all of that you can incorporate in your current business.
Got- So we just talked about agentic AI as the next disruptive frontier, as we mentioned. So for MBAs and students and young professionals who are not necessarily engineers, how do you think we stay relevant in a world where AI is changing every industry, and it's actually changing at such a fast pace that we have to catch up?
No, for engineers, for non-engineers, this is really a boon because of vibe coding and no code. You don't really need technology. What is now needed is that with agentic AI, you can redesign the workflows. So, what do you need to do for that? You need the skills to be able to, one, understand the business objective, understand the macro picture, which an ISB MBA teaches you exceedingly well. So, you're able to understand what is the business problem, one. Two, come back to what are the key metrics you want to achieve. What are the output metrics? Okay, right? Two, once you understand the business problem, the output metrics, then you can say what are the jobs to be done, what are the tasks to be done in order to get there. Now you can say, I need to have 5 AI agents, okay, right? Or 4 agents which will do this, okay, right? You don't need a human being, I need agents to do this. Then with vibe coding and no code and all the other tools that are available in Gen AI, design these agentic agents to be able to execute that particular workflow. Now, while doing this, you have to put the guardrails, you have to guard against hallucination, you have to put checkpoints, you have to design the workflow with enough checks and balances in between to be able to do that. So it's beautifully, you can orchestrate almost like a Lego pieces being put together and built, and it has democratized it. You don't have to be a computer science engineer, you can be an arts or economics student, you can develop all of this as well as anybody else. Ask the right questions, design the right workflows, okay, put the guardrails, check the output at every stage, and create a feedback loop, and you can be a winner. In fact, not just that, unless you do this, you will lose your competitive edge. You will get outshone by somebody who is using these tools. That's also one of the danger. You're from a top school. Okay. Now, people from not the top schools who have not had the exposure to the same level which you get at ISB can use these tools and do one step better. Okay, right? You, of course, have to do 2 steps better by using the same tools.
Yes. So everybody is using Gen AI tools, but how we use them, how we make them better in our daily life, that's how we will be able to differentiate better. And I think that's well put. I think all of us are probably scared from agentic AI and how the world will look, but I think that's a very positive outlook to look towards, that we are in an ecosystem where we have everything now. The Lego blocks are already there. Let's build something from that instead of being scared from it.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm also scared, by the way, because the rate at which new models come up, new products come up, it's tough to keep up to date. So it is scary, but that's where the excitement lies.
Absolutely. So, Professor, one of my last questions would be around how do you actually think of innovation in India, and which sectors do you think, if someone wants to start an startup right after post ISB, which sectors they should be probably focused on while building startup?
See, I'm a bald old man, so for me to be able to think about the latest, coolest, jazziest stuff is difficult. So I'll share with you my perspective, which I have followed, which has been, which may
Relevant.
or may not resonate with young people, young people today. I have focused always on India, on the core sectors. Okay, right. My belief is that if you focus in India on large pain points, you can build nice big startups. What I mean by that is, if you're in US or Europe where all the basic problems are solved, you have to be a genius like Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk to come up with breakthrough ideas. In India, unfortunately, everything is broken. You look around you, the traffic is bad. Electricity, you have to generate your own electricity. Water, you have to get water tanker. Pollution is sky high in most part of India. So when everything is broken, it's also a great opportunity for us to come in, solve the big pain point, and build a business. So I like core sectors: roti, kapda, makan, healthcare, education, and entertainment. If these six sectors are huge, they will be there. Recession, COVID, otherwise, it all will be there. So you can build large businesses there. The only other point you should think is that look for a big pain point in these sectors. In India, people pay for big pain points. They pay for must have. We are reluctant to pay for good to have. Okay, right? Which is not the case in many countries in US and like US and Europe. So big sectors, core pain points. People pay for painkillers, not for vitamins. Okay, right? Just like you take, people will go for a root canal treatment. They will not go for a dental health checkup. Very few people go for voluntary dental health checkup in India. Okay, right? So these are two strong filters that I use for startup. The other thing that for youngsters to look at is, look at what is changing today. What is new today? What what is a change? How can I play in that particular sector? What is the skill that I have that I can bring into that particular sector? Take, for example, electric vehicles.
Hmm.
Now, electric vehicles are increasing tremendously, exponential growth. Now, you don't have to start a EV manufacturing company. Let Ola, let Ather do that, or let Maruti and Tata's do that. But that kind of exponential growth has given huge opportunity for derived demand. What do I mean by that? Because of electric vehicle, you need batteries. So you can do battery manufacturing. Forget battery manufacturing. You can do component manufacturing for supply to battery manufacturers. So electric vehicles, batteries, battery component supplies. Then look at battery charging infrastructure. Okay, you can do that. You can make, you can create a infrastructure company which provides battery charging infrastructure. Similarly, battery swapping. There are companies like Battery Smart which does battery swapping infrastructure. Okay, right. Similarly, now Government of India has made it mandatory for people who are dealing in batteries to ensure that they are disposed very safely. Okay, disposal norms. So you can start a battery recycling unit. Okay, disposal of battery. Okay, recovering metals from old unusable batteries so that it gets thing. So the, for just electric vehicles explosion has given rise to so many opportunities downstream that you can look at. For one, I'm very big on the fact that climate change, environment change, clean mobility, all of them is going to grow exponentially. So each one of them gives you a great opportunity if you follow the money. It's like the traditional story that when there was a gold rush, people who made money were not the people who were searching for gold, but people who were making the shovels. Because for every 100 people who search for gold, only one guy gets the gold, but all the 100 need the shovels.
Shovels,
Right?
exactly.
So I think I am very bullish on some of these sectors which are there, but I think there is no dearth in India if you want to do startup, B2B or B2C, or any problem that you take. Just focus on large problem and follow the money.
Absolutely, that's very well put. And since we talked about how the Indian government mandated and how things change and how we can utilize a lot of opportunities in battery sectors itself that you just talked about. In the part of the book, you talked about India's digital public infrastructure, Aadhaar, UPI, ONDC, and for MBAs entering new roles in the market, how we should think about these platforms and how we should utilize them. Are there opportunities for new value creation, or we should think of them as enablers for something else?
Yeah, so I mean, digital public infrastructure is India's moment in the world, and you must have heard of it that the UPI and digital payment are being copied world over, and it's phenomenal. If you have traveled anytime to Europe or US, you know how broken the payment systems are, and here even a roadside vendor, okay, right, uses UPI. So digital public infrastructure has made India the cynosure of world eyes, because we still, even today, unfortunately, even in top cities like Bangalore, lack physical infrastructure. The digital infrastructure is leapfrog. What it means is, think of it like rails or the roads. Okay, right? US, the trade grew because the roads came up. The same thing has happened in the digital infrastructure here. So the roads are there. Now, what can you do as an entrepreneur? What can you do? Is this? Can you, on that road which has been given by the government, can you ride the most efficient bus? Can you hire the best conductor? Can you give best customer service, fuel efficient bus, not emitting carbon dioxide? So that's left to you. So what it has given us is lovely roads. Now we can build a bus, we can run a transport service, we can set up a shop on the side of the road, a hotel on the side of the road, because the footfalls and traffic can be there. So enablers has happened. We can build on top of it, which is very different than what it was 10, 15 years back. Flipkart had to build their own payment system. Flipkart had to build their own logistics system. Flipkart had to build core fundamental things. In BigBasket, we had to build a lot of things on our own. Today, people can come, integrate with APIs, whether it's payment, third party logistics, supply chain, all of it can be done using digital public infrastructure. Take lending, for example. With account aggregator, I can get your full credit details. With UPI, with my computer, I can score the risk profile. Okay, right? I can see what is how much money I can lend to you. What should be the premium I need to charge? What should be the risk premium I need to assign to you because of your account aggregated data? And through UPI, actually transfer the money to you. All of it instantaneously. Impossible 10 years back.
Absolutely. So it helps companies not to build in-house everything and focus on these enablers and build on top of that and just focus on building platforms. As you also taught us in class, that focus on platforms. Pipeline part is already sorted from a lot of
Yeah, a lot
enablers.
of it is already started. You don't have to go start from scratch to generate. Most of it is available. Now you can think of what is the business problem, what is the customer need, where is the big pain point, okay, right? Where you want to play, what is the monetization strategy, and bring all these together
Get
to
the
start.
that. So, Professor was very insightful. But if you were an ISB student today, graduating in 2026, what would be three advices would you give yourself to future-proof the career going forward?
Yeah, firstly, I am very jealous. I want to be that student. I don't want to be giving advice to that student. Okay, right? So, okay, so three advices. One is, when you're looking at your career, optimize not for the local minima, but for the long term. So pick a problem market fit, not just a brand. Don't join a company because of a brand, but think what is the problem you want to work for. It could be SME productivity as an example, or movement of money, or AI, or operations, okay, right? Or growth and scaling of companies startups or even otherwise from this. So pick a problem market fit that you want to do, not the company or the brand. Two, for your career in days of generative AI today and all the disruption that's happening, own a portable spike. What I mean by that, think of it like a T. You must have one skill, that is depth, which is the T. This one, it's important. That could be any area. Okay, right? It could be revenue, it could be operations, it could be growth, it could be problem solving, whatever. One, you must have a strong depth is in, and there should be a few minors. You could be expert in finance, you could be expert in data analysis, you could be expert in pricing, whatever area that you choose. So remember, spike, T, a horizontal line where you've got two or three skills horizontal, but one deep expertise. You need to build that. Okay, right? And third, ship something. Actively work on getting something out. It could be a pilot, it could be a thesis memo, it could be a workflow map. It's something that you need to be able to do, and you need to showcase and do that. And have a 12-month plan. Okay, right? You will do pilots, reversible pilots, you will check, you will abandon the pilot if it doesn't work, but work in spurts of journey. Think of it like a 12 months, 18-month tour that you're going to make. Don't think of it like a career. During my time, it was long career. The concept of long career in one company is gone, both from the company's and your side. So plan it in 18 months to 24 months trips or journeys. So if you're going to talk about 18, 24 months, how will you plan? What will be the each quarter? What are you going to do? Think of it like that. And get this learnability. Stand for something. Ship something out. Be close to the customer. Revenue is critical, margin is critical, growth is critical. So, whatever you do, see how close you can get to revenue, margin, or growth, then your career will take off. Don't bother about immediate salary, immediate brand. Nobody bothers, nobody cares. Today, you may find that between you and your colleagues, the differences may be with some brand and some percentage points in terms of salary. That doesn't matter. What matters is, in 10 years, will you be a CEO? In 15 years, are you going to realize your full potential? And for that, you have to get out of immediate local maximization, local maxima, look at more broader play.
Absolutely. So it's always think from first principles, uh, think from long term, and I think everything will work out for everyone eventually, if that's the plan, I guess. So I think with that, I think thank you, Professor, for coming and joining a podcast with us. I think this session will be very insightful for the class, and probably for people who are looking from outside world also, who want to join ISB and see how the culture looks like, how the professors are here teaching us, and etc. So I think with that, thank you for tuning to Radio Club podcast. Until next time, stay curious and disruptive.